For ease of use, I have everything on my device set up with something called Loopback. Um, Loopback, I have it set up to where all of the audio from Ableton is going to these channels, the output channels 1 and 2. So that has actually been the easiest thing for me with the least amount of crackling. If you've seen some other videos, you've heard crackling in the background. And I have gotten that crackling because it essentially it gets overloaded. So I actually just set up the output here as the M2, and then in something like Zoom, you will see that I have it Ableton as output. So everything coming through Ableton comes through here. And then for my aggregate device, this is where things get a little more fluid, and it's, you know, the additional, I'm going to pay for something, what are the extra options? This is where it gets really neat, because you could have this one huge aggregate device. So I'm actually using a USB audio, a USB mic right now for, and you can see it moving with my voice. That is my input. But I can turn them on and off depending on what I'm using. So there were a couple weeks where I was using my drum set and a lot of virtual care, and I had 2 condenser mics set up around the drum set and my M2 device, and I could route the channels of the audio wherever I wanted. So I could have, you know, channels 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 here and route the stereo audio those ways, and then come over here into the audio channels in Ableton and have each channel be for a different condenser microphone and really control the sound. So that's an added benefit most of the time. And for most of the virtual care I've done, I've only ever used what I mentioned in the beginning, an aggregate device to bring the audio from main stage over into Ableton, and then a multi-output device. Now, I just really love the sounds in main stage. If you are satisfied with just using your USB audio interface, or if you have a USB mic and maybe just a one in, one out audio interface, you know, the multi-output device is probably all you need to get the music from your digital audio workstation into your teleconferencing software. An aggregate device is helpful if you have 2 USB microphones, right? Because if we go back into live here, you will notice that I have the Shure digital mic. I can set it up to where that's just the audio coming in, and I wouldn't be able to plug my guitar. Sorry, there's that sound. One of the ways that you can adjust and fix that sound is adjusting the sample rate here. So if I bump this up to 256, sometimes it adds latency, which means my voice will sound after I've actually spoken it. But you notice the sound has gone away because I've adjusted the buffer size. So if I put this down to 32, if I bring it down to 32, you hear that crackling sound almost immediately. And then I bring it back up to 256, and everything's normal again. So, and that also affected the video. So I don't know if you noticed that the video got a little choppy there for a moment. Having a, you're going to have to work to find the right buffer size for you and your machine. But just know the lower the samples, the more likely it is that you're going to get some crackling in there. I usually go between 128 and 256. Occasionally I'll have to drop down to 64, but that's rare. And your in and out sample rate, 44 100 is about where you want to keep it. 4800 is what most CDs are, the audio quality of it. It's my understanding that's what it is. But 44,100 is what you want it to be, and that's going to be the best for your machine too. So don't really mess around with that. If you set up an aggregate device in something like Loopback where you're designating channels, you are going to want to go into your input and then choose stereo input 3 and 4. So the music that's coming from main stage shows up here. Just to run it down again, we have a multi-output device that you want to set up as your digital, you want to set up your USB audio interface and one digital patch cable, right? Something like I show you audio capture, or if you're on PC, there's I think it's synchronous audio routing, SAR is what you're going to use, that I've heard is really reliable, and it's also very free. So you want to set up your audio interface and some digital patch cable. I recommend I show you audio capture for Mac right now, and put that output as the output for your digital audio workstation. And then in your teleconferencing software, you're going to set up the microphone as that digital patch cable, and that'll get your audio from your digital audio workstation to your teleconferencing software, and it'll broaden the opportunities for different experiences for your client population, for the people you work with. It's no longer just playing guitar and singing for that person, or facilitating live music relaxation with just guitar, or miking up a piano. You can have channels upon channels of sounds that you're layering in and delivering to that person on the other end. And it's a really neat experience. And not to mention, you record it all right here too, so if they want a copy of it afterwards, you have it. So that is a rundown of what digital patch cables you can use to get your digital audio workstation set up for telehealth or teleconferencing software, whichever, whatever language you want to use for that. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Happy telehealthing, I guess. Take care.